Okay, Anna.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited that we have so many people joining us. This should be a good program with a lot of very practical tips and information. Our speakers today are Laurie Skinner from the Highland Park Public Library. And I've known Laurie for close to 30 years. Yeah. Yes, we were both, we met as toddlers. Okay. So I'm very happy to have her here. And, Laurie and I were talking, and she had mentioned to me that she was doing, she'd gotten a grant, and she was doing Memory Cafe and some other things. So when I had the idea for this program, I of course thought of Laurie, and then Alanna Sablotny from Chatham Area Library. Her director told me that she's been doing some wonderful things. So of course I had to contact her. And when I contacted Alanna says, we have someone who is one of our members who is so useful in giving suggestions and input and using the collection that, we should include her in the presentation. So we have Sue Monteyne. Is that right? Probably not. But anyway, so we have all of these wonderful people, and Sue is like very active in her community. She's involved in some groups that promote education and support for people dealing with Alzheimer's and caregivers. And so she'll talk a little bit about that too. But our first speaker is Laurie Skinner. Laurie, if you would like to take it away.
Thanks, Anna. And thank you for asking me to speak, and thank you all for joining us. So as Anna mentioned, we've been friends a long time, and I work at the Highland Park Public Library. Highland Park is a suburb north of Chicago. It's actually the county north of Chicago. And like many communities, it's I think it's an aging community, slowly but surely aging. And in 2019, I applied for a grant from a community foundation in Highland Park, the Highland Park Community Foundation, to put together memory kits. And the idea at the time was that they would be like all-in-one thematic kits to take around to different care facilities in the area, or the different care facilities could take and bring back to, wherever their building is, and have kind of like an all-in-one program. Anyway, I'll just show you what we ended up. We got the grant, and then COVID happened, and it threw a monkey wrench in everything, like it did for everyone. But I'll show you what the kits came to be, and then I'll talk about how we had to pivot from these kits. So they're a fairly large storage, tote, and this one is on the theme of music. So it has, each one comes with a really simple boom box. Each one also comes with, well, this one, because it's about music, has some different CDs, but some just have like a generic CD. So this one has 60 top big band hits, and it has the Leonard Bernstein songbook in it. Then we have some books, because one of the ideas was that the kits would be somewhat literacy based. We have read, I've read that, that's a really good way to engage people by, even if sometimes they can't quite understand what they're reading, or they don't want to read, they're interested in looking at books and, hearing other people read to them. So we have this book about, it has a lot of black and white pictures from jazz clubs of the 40s and 50s. And then we have these books. there's kind of a fine line between making your reading material real babyish and making it something that is accessible, but is still like an adult level. So I found these, they're children's books. They're getting to know the world's great composers, but this one was about Leonard Bernstein, and they have kind of silly drawings in them, but it's basically a very simple but not, childish biography of Leonard Bernstein, talking about his influences and then that kind of thing. And then there's one on the Beatles. And I think at some point I was going to get a Beatles CD for this one because, people like the Beatles. And then we have, maracas. So if people are listening to the music, they can join in. I have this, this is actually like watch, I won't be able to do it, but it's like now I've forgotten what it's called. Let me see. It's called a Tibetan singing bowl, and you can just clang on it, or you can like one of my colleagues is better at this than me, but you can spin around it. It just kind of makes a sound to engage people. They can, like I said, they can just tap on it. They can do whatever they want with it. And then all of our kits also have, these are called Fidget Mouths. The idea behind including these was that people could try these out at home. I mean, they could, and then they could decide maybe they would want to buy it. They are, I think they are washable. And they also, every kit includes a deck of cards because I've been told that decks of cards are good things to put in, these kind of things. You can do all sorts of things. You can do memory games, you can do simple card games, you can just, if someone just wants to do something with their hands, they can shuffle the deck. Some of the other kits, like we have one that's on art, and it has some card decks with different famous paintings. We also have, we found these, this is another kind of fidget that we got. It just is a ball in a groove that is something that people might find it just something to do with their hands. Sometimes people with dementia, they want something to do with their hands. And Sue, correct me if I'm wrong about any of that, but that's just something I found. So these were our circulating kits. And like I said, then the pandemic started, and nursing homes and other facilities really did not want us to come in. And so then we kind of pivoted to, we made a series of just really simple take and keep kits, we called them, for want of a better word. And they just had, they're just in Ziploc bags. This one was on the theme of summer. And for this one, we took pictures from some of the Highland Park archives, like picture archives. So we didn't have to worry about copyright or anything like that. Just some pictures, some simple questions to maybe spark a conversation. Here's some pictures of, parades in downtown Highland Park. I highly doubt that anyone who used this would remember wearing a bathing suit like this, but sometimes people just get a laugh at looking at funny bathing suits. This is an old picture taken at Highland Park's on Lake Michigan, and that's an old picture taken at one of the beaches. So there's just like simple questions, kind of open-ended questions. And then we also asked the police and the fire department if they had anything that they would want to include in these kits, and they were really happy to. The police department has an emergency identification bracelet program, so they gave us flyers about those. The fire department had a bunch of these magnetic kits that magnetic pamphlet things where you can put all your medical and other important information and keep it on your refrigerator. And they were just glad to provide that to us. And we made these available at the time we were doing grab and go. So people weren't coming into the library, and we would just set it out on the table and people could take it. And I think people responded really well to that. Actually, we got some, oh yes, another thing is we always try to include some sort of a word search. It just seems to be something, it's simple. Often there's word search generation programs online that you can use. So we try to freshen these up every, well, at first we were doing it quarterly. And now we've been doing, we've started a memory cafe that we do monthly. So basically we take the, like in March, we did a St. Patrick's Day themed memory cafe. And we just take the material that we used and we just put it in one of these packets and just make it available for people to pick up and take with them. And people have said to me, well, one person told me that she liked these because her mother was, she had to take an airplane flight to see her mother. So she would, you know, take a few of these on different themes and put them in her suitcase, and then she'd have something to look at with her mother when she got there. So these I think have been really helpful. I'm sorry if I'm just kind of going too quickly or anything like that. So yeah, here's one we did that was a Chicago theme. And we took some old photos from, well, we took them from books, but we did give the books credit. So hopefully, you know, we weren't selling them. So I think that it's, I think we were okay as far as copyright or anything like that. And then this particular one, when we did our memory cafe, we had it on Zoom, and I actually mailed these to everyone who registered. There's a program, and I will shortly share with you my screen, and you can see a retired librarian. Her name is Beth Reidner. Her husband was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and she put together this series of, she calls them Tales and Travel Adventures. And it's like an all-inclusive program for different countries or different places. And she had one based on Chicago. So we basically printed out her PowerPoint and sent it to people. And then when they logged in, and I think we had like 4 different people and their caregivers, which I thought was pretty good. You know, we took turns reading it, and you know, it's just basically a little travelogue to the city. So that went over pretty well. And so those are our take and keep kits. And then we did start a memory cafe, which we do once a month, and it's open to anyone. We do ask that people attend with a caregiver. It's an hour long, and it's on a theme, like we did, you know, Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. Last month we did a spring one where one of my coworkers put together a tour of the Chicago Botanic Garden, which is near where we live. It was basically a lot of spring flowers. And today, this afternoon, we're doing one on England, and we are back in person. And I'm just going to share quickly. Oh, before I do that, I wanted to show you a few other things. Found this on Amazon, like a 1950s memories book, and it just is pretty simple. It has a lot of, you know, old pictures. It's kind of a source, you know, people might remember an old car or, you know, whatever, just kind of a source for that. I found this in, someone had donated it, and I brought it out during one of our memory cafes, and it was really popular. It was one of these, watch the battery will be dead, but it's birds North American birds, and then you can like press a button. Let's see if it works. I think it's dead. Sorry, but theoretically, you can press a button and it will play like the bird song, and people enjoyed it. You just never know what will spark someone's interest. So that's another source that I use, kind of looking through, what's been donated to the library or what we've bought recently. And then another source, if you are familiar with the Crayola mess-free paint, it's like painting with water. This is from a company called relishlife.com. They make items for people with memory loss. And this is similar to that, except it's not very babyish. It's really, really neat. It's on kind of thicker cardstock. And they have different themes. This one was ocean life, and you just basically, you can use a sponge, you can use a paintbrush. I think we used paper towels, and as you wipe the water across it, the colors come out. And then when it dries, the colors go away. And because it's on thicker paper, I think it lasts longer. These haven't really checked out, but it's something I brought out during some of our memory cafes. And people have really enjoyed it, just kind of an easy project. I don't mind if they take the picture home and redo it again. But anyway, so those are a couple of things for some reason I had here to show you. And now I'm just going to quickly share my screen and show you a couple of resources that I found to be really helpful. Here we go. All right, so this is the, let me just move this out of the way. The first is the Tales and Travel Memories that Mary Beth Reidner put together. She has a YouTube channel, so where she basically narrates one of her programs, and then this is where all her print materials are. She talks about, there's a whole link here for librarians. She talks about how she came to put it together. And, she's very much involved in or interested in including some level of literacy in her programs. Now let's see if I can remember how to get back to where I was. Sorry. Here we go. Another thing that I found, this is an organization, I believe they're in Wisconsin, and it's called Time Slips. Okay. It's like creative ideas for engaging people. They might have dementia, they might just be older. Actually, it's for pretty much everyone. You can you can make an account, you can make a free account, and then you have access to a lot of their resources, which is where I kind of stole the idea of the conversation starters, the open-ended ones. Let's see if this opens. Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of it is they have story, help me out here, Anna, I see you nodding, like story starters, prompts to start a story, asking questions, which are kind of open-ended things that people might, all sorts of things they have. Then they have projects that other members of the organization have started. Let's see, different creative projects. So I found this to be really helpful. I had mentioned to Anna that I use the CASE method, copy and steal everything method. And I found this really helpful. Let's see if it says join today, you can sign up and it's free. And I would log in, except I've forgotten my password. But this is another resource that I found really helpful, just trying to find different things, the company relishlife.com has some nice resources, but it's a company, you have to buy the things. So I just found that these two, Mary Beth Reidner's and how do I get back to where I was? Here we go. That these two, because there's really no charge for them, and especially Mary Beth's, the Tales and Travel Memories is almost something that you can adapt really easily to whatever you're trying to do. And then I also, because, you know, we're librarians, sorry. Sorry. There was another resource on here. Oh, Anna, I'm sorry.
Laurie, you're perfectly okay.
Okay, here it is. I think my computer.
There we are.
Reading to Connect, that I just found out about recently, but it looks like they have, it doesn't look like it's connecting to it, but it looks like they have simple books that, like I said, are aimed toward adults, but maybe have a simpler vocabulary. They have larger type. They have a lot of visuals, and on a variety of subjects. I really don't know much about them. Just in the brief amount of time I looked through it, I thought, this looks pretty good. This would be something that, you know, I'd look into. So that's what we're doing at the Highland Park Library, along with our memory cafe, which people seem to really enjoy. And I'm gonna pass it on to Alanna now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thanks.
Laurie, before we go to Alanna, I do have a question. It's like, how much would you say an average kit costs in materials you put together? And it's like, you have such a variety too. So this is like.
Yeah, I would say, okay, well, I'll tell you, this is really embarrassing, but we had asked for $5,000 from the community foundation, and because I had been told by other people who had applied for grants that they never give you what you ask for, and then they gave me the full $5,000, and I think that I've put together 6 of these kits, and then I bought some replacement, like for the boom boxes and things like that, and I think I've spent less than half of the amount that I have, but I do also use it for, you know, snacks for the memory cafe. And I am hoping, when we first started the idea of the memory kits, we kind of thought, based on the number of retirement places and other facilities in the area, that they would be like chomping at the bit to come check these out. So we would have multiple, you know, multiple sets of them, which hasn't come to fruition. So like the boombox, I think was less than $50, you know, depending on, these books are really inexpensive. You know, hardcover books cost a certain, you know, depends, $25 to $30. And also I've heard back from patrons who have people at home. These are kind of big and it's a little clunky. So I would think that you could probably put one together that maybe didn't have a boombox, or, you know, just had a few books and a CD or some of these materials, maybe for like $150. And maybe Alanna can shed more light on that.
Yeah, I could see, you know, I was very intrigued with your little, you know, cardboard things that you've attached, you know, pictures of your local history. And those kind of things. I could see anyone being able to do that. And I'd say a lot of our libraries have photos of different periods, and it's like a lot of like, especially down here in Southern Illinois, I could see like having pictures of coal mines and that kind of stuff. I'm sure that would spark a lot of memory and discussion. So I mean, you can do something like that fairly inexpensively, and then if you just have like music from certain decades and throw that, you know, I think the thing, you know, with the kits, it can be as elaborate or as simple as, you know, you need it to be based on your budget, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And the nice thing about these smaller kits, people don't have to worry about returning them, and using your own history. Like if someone has lived their life in your community, like the pictures of, from the Highland Park archives of the parade. I mean, they're not the greatest pictures in the world, but someone might say, oh, I remember marching in that parade when I was a kid, like looking at your own snapshots. And yeah, if the idea is to spark some sort of connection, or even if it's not, they weren't in your community, but they remember that from when they were growing up. Yeah, these are it's basically pretty much your time is the resource. Like I laminated the cards, but you don't have to do that, I didn't do that with the Ireland ones. Yeah, this I think people really enjoyed this, especially now, where, some people still don't want to come into the library, or, the idea that they can just take it and they don't have to bring it back.
Yeah, that's
It's
great.
just like another tool in their toolkit.
Well, there's so many things. It's like, I'm paranoid about this anyway, but it's like I looked at that and I'm thinking, a lot of those things look like fun. And it's like, I'm like, but
Yeah.
I could see like even a caregiver could like do some of these activities and still get some enjoyment as well as the person doing it.
Yeah.
And then, I think the variety of materials is great too. And I know, Alanna, you have a lot of different things. I think it's like the goal is to appeal to all of the senses, or, seeing what connects and what doesn't connect. And it's kind of a case by case thing. So, Alanna, if you'd like to tell us about what you have created, and you've done a lot of good work too. So let's see what you got.
Yeah. So I'm Elena Sablotny. As Anna said, I am the local history and genealogy reference librarian. So my hands are in a lot of different things. I first start off with where I kind of got this this idea from, and then also where I got the money from. So I was a part of Rotary, and excuse my biscuit, he's awful chatty today, so but we'll talk about him in a second. But so I was a part of Rotary, and they had a literacy kit, or sorry, a literacy grant that became available, and I was wanting to do something for that kit, but we weren't. I didn't want to really focus on the youth in the library, because I'm an adult librarian, not a youth librarian. So what I really wanted to focus on was more health literacy, and what the really the main focus of these kits, and they're called Caring for the Caregiver kits. And essentially what I started out with was really wanting to provide materials and resources for the caregiver to be able to take care of themselves, so they then can take care of their loved one. One of the statistics that I had found is that one of the caregivers, or it's a high percentage that the caregivers actually die prior to the actual loved one. And I think that a lot of that is, because of stress. And so I think for that, I wanted to use these kits. And what I would say is that the grant that we had kind of kind of fell in our lap. We kind of knew that we were going to kind of get it. But with the idea of thinking outside the box, really, okay, literacy, but literacy doesn't have to be reading per se. It could be more health related. It could be, digital literacy. And there's so many different things that you could go with your ideas about grants. So I just wanted to put a plug into that aspect of things. When you're thinking about a project that you think might be a viable option, but you don't know what grant to go for. So I just wanted to highlight that. One of the things is that I really worked with our local resources that we had here in town. So the SIU Medicine is here, which is the Southern Illinois University, and they have a neurological department, and that focuses on dementia and so forth, memory loss. And one of the individuals was retiring. So after she retired, she really was intricate in and very helpful with the items that we included into our kits. And I'll show you the kits in a second. But I don't have any background in any of the topics that I chose. So with the kit, I should say that, with the grant, I had the option of, I had $2,500, and I really wanted to hit multiple groups, but focusing on dementia, as I said, as well as autism. I thought that those were two of the groups that needed the most help, I should say. And so what I did was I created, I think, 5, and I'm going to show what the kits look like. I'm going to share my screen real quick here. And do you see the goals? I hope. Okay. So the goal behind this was to improve health and emotional literacy of caregivers of others, along with helping them with activities that they can do together. Let's see, there we go. So the kits can be checked out for 6 weeks. I figured the 2-week timeline that we have in our normal checkout period just wasn't enough for the caregivers to go through everything, or to really even figure out if some of the stuff was helpful to the loved one. And so I really wanted to give them the opportunity to go through these on a leisurely basis. So that's why I did that. You do have to have a library card to check them out. So I think I have 5. I can't remember. I think that's how many I have for dementia. So here you can see I have a wide variety of items. So about half the kit focuses on the caregiver themselves in trying to do either self-care. So we have some Tai Chi, or just some resources in here that will help the caregiver do, improve is probably not the right word, but to help them with their care. So there's a DVD of the art of caregiving, as well as the 36-hour, the 36-hour day is a book, and another book that talks about activities that you can do with your loved one. So those are kind of what I say as the self-care aspect of things. But then we also have some that you can use with the caregiver. So in one that there is, I just had it here. I don't know where I put it. Oh, there it is. This everyday fashions. I know it's a much smaller picture, but basically they're just pictures from the Sears catalog. You know, again, like what Laurie said, is just kind of to spark a memory and, oh, I used to wear that, you know, type of thing. A puzzle that really focuses on the really large puzzles or puzzle pieces, but they're not kiddie and youth-oriented puzzles. These are specifically, well, no, I can't take that. I take that back. I don't know if I can't remember if they're specifically from memory loss, but they're just really big and they are easier to use with their hands. And a DVD that would just kind of take you to a different place, you know, again, to have them travel or to talk about their travels, that type of thing. So those are kind of the things. And then the last thing is the cat. I'll show you the dog, but so the companion dog kit has a lot of the same types of things, but each of the kits are different. So if the caregiver just uses one of the items within the caregiver kit, I'm totally fine with it. You don't have to use all of it. It might not be applicable to your loved one. So there might be some things that work better for one than the other. So with the biscuit, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second if I can figure out how to do that or not. There we go. I think I found it. Hold on. There it is. I found it. Sorry about that. So Biscuit is our golden retriever, and it is from the Joy for All. And the reason why I've included the cat as well as Biscuit into the kit is because they're kind of expensive. They're about $100 or so. And some caregivers, you know, if it doesn't work, then you've just wasted $100. So my thought is that you can have these kits or some of the items in the kits to kind of use with the loved one to see if it's something that they might enjoy, and then you can utilize it. But essentially it's just you know, you can hug it, you can pet it, you can the dog or the cat has a brush that so they can groom it, and so that type of thing. It's just a wonderful thing to include, and they can then take care of it. You know, they can't take care of a real cat or dog, but they can take care of this, and that's I think one of the things that they really probably miss in some cases. So I'm gonna quiet Biscuit down, but I think it's a really important thing to do as a library of things that we have. So, okay, I'm going to reshare my screen here. And here are just a few others. I also have a Fidget Muff in mine. In two of them, I also did include a book that specifically talks about helping their grandkids maybe to understand what's happening to grandma or grandpa. So that might be something that you could utilize, because kids just don't understand sometimes. Guess Who is also another kit or game that you can use with your loved one. But we also have some meditation. Here's a cookbook that just, it's a slow cooker cookbook. What can you do to make your life easier? So that's why I included some of the cookbooks. So the other one was a memory activity. This one's a reminiscing one. So again, I have some conversation cards that I bought off of Amazon. So there's just different types. This picture of a dog, it's just larger pictures. Again, they just have a little bit of words, but the wording is more specific to an adult. So it's just one of those things that you can start sparking ideas, that type of thing. And I think that's all I have for that. In each of the kits, I do have a binder, and I wanted to include a lot of the resources that are available here in the local area. So SIU Medicine had created a supportive services brochure, and I was like, yes, please, which kind of talks about all of the support groups and memory cafes and that type of thing around town or around the area that could be utilized for the caregiver themselves. So I think it's a good thing to just kind of, yes, the items that we have in the kits are important, but I think almost more so that the resources that we are providing, just an acknowledgement of what else is out there, is also a great thing as well. Let me think. Laurie and Anna, you were talking about how much each of the kits cost. I should say that I do have them in really heavy duty bag with our name on it. And so I tried to get everything that I could to fit in the bag. So it wasn't as cumbersome as a box or something like that. They can throw it over their shoulder and go that way. I will say that I am struggling with the marketing side of things. They are not being used as much as I would like, but like Laurie, we got the grant in 2019 and we had to spend everything by June of 2020, and you know what happened in June of 2020. So my focus was on other things during that time period. So now we are doing we're doing a lot more, and that's more because of Sue, who has been a great library advocate and caregiver kit advocate for us. And it's just really just talking to the people who might be interested in them, or they walk up to the kits and they're like, looking at things and just talking to them. So talking to your patrons is what I would suggest, and the word of mouth. We are going to eventually go out to the nursing, well, not nursing homes, but the retirement communities. And we also do have a memory loss facility here in town. So I need to reach out to them really to let them know that it's available. One of the great things is that because we live so close to Springfield, anybody who has a library card, no matter if it's a Lincoln Library card or a Chatham Library card, can access these. So that's one of the great things. If I try to double check to make sure, if you guys want them, I think that you can borrow them to kind of take a look at them as well. I think I said that they can float. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that they can. If not, let me know, and I'm happy to override that or whatever I need to do. So, and I will also say that the kits range, but the most expensive was probably like $300, and that's mostly because the dog and the cat were $100, a piece. So you can really do a lot of, as Anna said, that it can be whatever you need it to be. So for me, as well as Laurie, I sympathize with her. I was scrambling to try and figure out what to spend it on. Hopefully that'll be everybody's case going forward as well. But I think if you're just wanting to do some things that are simple and start worthy, I think what Laurie has done, utilizing those resources are great. So that's pretty much what I have.
Okay. I think what you and Laurie have done is really fantastic. I mean, you've taken, Laurie's focused more on, the person suffering with memory loss, and you've kind of included the caregiver, and you're both trying to, when you're in these kind of situations, having had parents who've gone through this, I can say you're in it together. I mean, you're really a unit as you're going through this journey together. And so I think the materials you've included, both of you, have been phenomenal. And I wish I had something like that when I was going through this process, because I was totally unprepared and totally unready. And I would have loved to have had the cards or something else, because I was telling, when we were discussing this program earlier, we got together and we were kind of sharing things. And I know when my mother was declining, she would see chickens in her room all the time. She was a farm girl, so of course, so she had these chickens and, that weren't there. And I would have loved to have had something that would have shifted her focus from these imaginary chickens to something else that we could have interacted more productively with. And so, these are the kind of things that, and I know with her, touch was very important and it helped ground her. And so I think that, the materials you have really do come at it from all kinds of different aspects. You take into account, the senses, and you try to have things that are of broad interests, and because there's still a part of that person who is that person, and so you still have to treat them as individuals. And I think these kits really do a good job of that. And I think I appreciate the idea of contacting the fire department and your police department to see what they can do. I know I've worked in communities where they have someone from City Hall. Sometimes it's the police department, somebody else there. If you have an elderly relative, they will give them calls, in the morning to, wake them up, and they'll do welfare checks and that kind of stuff. I don't, a lot of times in very small towns, it's the library that does that. I've had a few cases, I've heard stories where basically it's the librarians that have noticed that the patron hasn't come in, and they've worried, and they're the ones who have found out that this person was in distress or sometimes even deceased, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so it's like libraries play such a big role in the community, and it's it's so frustrating. As you're both saying, you have these wonderful resources and you're like, why aren't people waiting outside our doors for this? So
Sorry.
yeah, so I would love to hear from Sue if she's ready to share her insights and thoughts on this whole process too. That would be great. So can you join us, Sue? There you are.
So as a caregiver, it was very frustrating for me to find resources out there. It's a very isolating journey. And plus my husband was so young when he was diagnosed, I didn't even think to go to senior centers or AgeLink. So there were times that I would come in the library and there were different organizations that would advertise here about Lunch and Learn and King's Daughters. And so I was learning about things like that from the library. It was still slow coming though. And I think we're trying to work on that with SIU, Springfield School of Medicine. The neurology department is really trying to become a dementia-friendly community, and they're working on getting with the library, getting those resources out there, doing seminars again, conferences. So I'm kind of like a liaison right now, an unofficial liaison between SIU and the library, and saying, this is a caregiver, this is what I needed. Now you guys figure out how to get it out to the other caregivers. SIU has a lot of social activities, which also is very important for people with dementia. So they've got like it's called Art Express. They don't really teach you art. You go there with other people and you just express yourself through art. I'm not an artist. My art is not pretty, but they like, if you were a bridge, what type of bridge would you be? And you just draw the best you can, and then there's Minds in Motion, which is a 4-hour program, and they do the reminiscing and the activities and lunch yesterday we had a picnic theme. So they talked about, do you remember going on picnics and what kind of things did you do? We had picnic type food. We had picnic activities. We were playing ring toss and lawn darts. And another thing they have is a program called Stepping Up, which focuses on very easy balancing type exercising, because again, this is normally a disease for older people, and balance is so important at that age. So not only are these things improving the mind and the body, but they're giving someone with dementia the social aspect of it, which is probably the most important thing out there, more than anything else, is just being socially active. SIU too, though, is struggling. How do we get this information out to people? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the directors is in contact with you, Elena, right now about updating your resource book. Okay. And I was looking for something. I don't have a share screen, but they're sending out this other thing too. It's, and I just sent it to Elena. It took me a long time to find it, but it's Become a Dementia Friend. and it's a website, Dementia Friends USA, and you watch a video, and then after you watch that, there's other videos that you can click on, and it's like if you work at a bank, if you're a first responder, retail, library, and they kind of like within 2 minutes kind of teach you how to treat somebody with dementia. Again, it's treat them with respect, be patient with them. And it's just a website out there that is teaching the community how to react when somebody with dementia comes in.
I can show it if you would like me to.
Okay.
Let me see if I can bring it up just real quick.
Yeah, that sounds like an invaluable resource because, we all would like to be more effective. We have a lot of people come through the doors of a public library and you're always trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm sure some of what these suggestions are would also apply to other situations. So it sounds really useful. Thank you for sharing this.
Where would I go, Sue? Do you remember?
So mine was step 1, you have to watch the video and you just lie and say, yes, I watched the video. I did watch it. And then step 2 breaks it down to the different organizations. So I wonder if you clicked on the.
There you are.
Oh.
Okay, so that one, just pretend you watched that one. Say, yes, I watched it. And then click on library.
So there's different, different ones that you can watch.
So you could show this to your employees.
Mhm.
That's phenomenal.
At Highland Park, we the community has a dementia-friendly task force, and that's one of the things we did as part of our training. We all watched that, and it was helpful, So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Sue.
So again, it's just getting the words out. I know SIU is having their, anybody new being employed will have to go through this training. But in the past, it wasn't always so. I had to go to the emergency room with my husband, and of course I couldn't go back there with him. And they did not understand that I needed to be there. He had dementia and it was a nightmare. It was scary for him. It was scary for me. And so they're trying to figure out just how do we make the community aware of this disease and how can we be more helpful, understanding and patient with these people and respectful, so just the biggest struggle though is letting people getting the word out.
Now that you're involved on the other side, you're involved with SIU and
Unofficially.
Yes, unofficially, but I'm sure even at that, you're a good word of mouth marketer for libraries and you tell them, reach out to your library and we can help you. With SIU Springfield, how big is their footprint? How far are they willing to go? I mean, if someone from, let's say, Cairo wanted to contact them and say, do you have any resources that we might use here? Do they have anything online that they could share? Or is there some aspect, I'm just trying to figure out if somebody is looking for some resources, and you guys have given some great ones, but, trying to figure out how to connect with what else is out there.
And they are working on that. Just again, so that you can go to one place. And I wish I knew I was on a committee of someplace up in the Chicago area that you just click on their website and it brings you to every resource available in the area.
Is it the
Oh,
Illinois Cognitive Resource Network? Does that sound familiar?
I'll have to scroll through my emails again. I was on a panel with that. They had us watch it just to see, because it is overwhelming at first, and it's very confusing trying to navigate the internet and what is actually out there and what really applies to what I'm needing. And so this is like a one-stop shop. And you can just, and Springfield is working on that right now. And it should let you know what resources are available in your own area.
So that sounds cool. It would be lovely if everyone had a resource like that. And I know that libraries are always trying to gather resources. So
Well, and their frustration too is getting the word out to these smaller communities. Because
Yes.
it's usually, there's a high number of people with dementia in the smaller communities that aren't getting the help. And there is care out there, but how do we let them know? And that was my thing, talk to the libraries. The libraries are so active in these smaller communities. Go to their small town festivals, set up a table and say, it's, so they're working on a program right now too. It's like what to expect when you're not expecting to be a caregiver.
Yeah.
And
I
but
think,
it's just in the building phases.
well, and if you can get the word to them too, that IHLS, Illinois Heartland Library System, would, we would help them get the word out. We can be a partner for them because, this is something that touches every community that we serve. And so, yes, we would be more than happy to help them get the word out and share information. And, if they need to, distribute materials too, we can probably help them with suggestions of how to do that too. So, please, think of us as someone who also is trying to have your back. Because when you're in these situations, you need all the help and support you can get. As a caregiver, what did you find to be the most useful? Not for necessarily your husband, but for you personally, because as Alanna said, she's trying to help. It's like that airplane model, you put on the mask first and then you help your child. So you have to stay strong yourself and healthy in this whole process. So what did you find most helpful, or what would be most helpful for someone in this situation?
Well, I needed hands-on help. I know a lot of people, as soon as they were given the diagnosis, just read everything they could get their hands on. And that was just way too overwhelming. I needed to take it slower, hands-on, be with someone that understood me. I would go to a lot of these lunch and learns, and I think it might've been King's Daughters that put on the lunch and learns, an organization around here. I would go to conferences where I could sit next to somebody and just share stories one-on-one. So, and I think that too is something that SIU and the library were discussing, is having these seminars right in the library, having people come and learn about things. I think she was saying. So I needed something that I could actually physically go to and raise my hand if I had a question or pull someone to the side. All of the, it was just too overwhelming reading everything. And then also what was even good to read. You got a lot of misinformation out there, if you take coconut oil, you'll cure your Alzheimer's, it was, and people would send me articles all the time, thinking they're being helpful and like, oh, did you know, if you have gum disease, this is causing Alzheimer's. He doesn't have gum disease. But if you go to the dentist every 6 months, that'll cure it. He goes. So it was just all kinds of nonsense gets thrown at you. And to weed through all of that is very frustrating. So just having reliable sources, and I needed the physical well, at least the physical learning.
Yeah, so maybe.
Which I know a library probably doesn't want to hear because you're full of books.
No, I think it would be helpful maybe to have like an opportunity for like a place where you can meet peers who are also
Yes.
on this same journey. And, it's like, as you say, it's so useful to be with someone who's, as you say, gets you and knows where you're at. Or maybe they're a little bit further along and they can help suggest ways to navigate through this. So I think that's valuable input.
Well, and I think Laurie mentioned last time that she has a memory cafe, and we have a facility that puts one of those on at the restaurant. But I think that would be just as nice if the library had something like that once a month, and and just some cookies on the side. It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I assume too that if you do these kind of programs, you have to be willing to accept things as they come along. Because I'm sure that, with dementia, people aren't always on their best behavior, So, I'm sure that sometimes things go terribly awry as far as like what you had programmed and expected and what actually happens. So I think, you have to be accepting and kind of anticipate some of those things. Is that a fair statement?
That is. I don't know if that's the responsibility of the facilitator. As a caregiver, like yesterday when we had this thing, it was 4 hours long. 2 of the people with memory loss came agitated, and their caregivers knew, and they gave me a heads up. It's like, we don't know how long we're going to last. We thought about coming here, and as it ended up, both of them relaxed and enjoyed. We were throwing the ball a little bit, and yeah. I think one caregiver had to take her loved one out for a short walk. Yeah, but as a facilitator, I don't know if that responsibility would have been mine.
Well, maybe, if a librarian's leading that kind of event, maybe they could just say, if you need to take a break, or if you need to leave the program, or if you need to do something, perfectly acceptable.
Well, yes, at least recognize it. Yeah.
Make it a no judgment zone,
Right.
where, whatever needs to happen, you need to do it. That's
right.
fine.
It's almost like having, doing a story hour for 2-year-olds.
Yes.
Some are going to sit for those 15 minutes and some aren't, and you can't judge them. It's like, that's just their mood that day.
Well, and honestly, 4 hours, I'd be a little agitated too, probably.
I know. And some of them leave after 3, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's the attitude you have to take, is it's okay. It's all good, whatever,
Don't take it personal.
So yeah, any other words of wisdom you would like to share with us as we as librarians, try to help,
Oh, gosh. Well, something else too that SIU is doing, they're doing a quarterly publication right now, and there are different articles in there about diet and health and tips from the caregiver, which I am featured this month. But I brought in a bunch to Alanna because I'm like, okay, the Illinois Times is sitting here for anybody to pick up. Why can't this publication also be available for patrons coming in. So I talked to SIU about that, and they did make more this time, and so those are available. I just don't know where you would put something like that, because you can't just hand them out. I don't think that like if you know one of your patrons has dementia, I don't know if it's something that you can just here, you might want to read this. So but I think those being available at the library too would be helpful. I just don't know where you put them.
Leave that to us. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about that.
And that's why I said I'm an unofficial liaison. I gave myself that title. It's like, here's what they have. I'm going to give this to you. You figure it out.
That's perfect. That's, we love information. We love that kind of stuff. Give it to us and we'll make sure it gets into the right hands or give it our best shot at doing that. So, I think
those care kits were wonderful. And I kind of wish they were available when I needed them. And I did bring them. I brought them to a conference and showed them to a lot of people. So I do hope they get checked out, but at least some people are aware of them now. Like 140 people got shown them. So.
That's great. Well, and as you say, with those care kits and you have those newsletters or the information, you can put those in the care kits. So yeah. All kinds of options. As I say, bring it to us and we'll figure it out. So anything else that you'd like to share?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. How about you, Alanna or Laurie? Any other ideas or options or things you would like to share? I'll give you a few.
I'm just going to put my email in the chat, and if you want, I can email you they're just Word documents, for my take and keep kits, or I could even print them out and send them to you through the blue bins. You guys get blue bins? I think they go.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long that would take. I can send them to Anna. She can.
You can send any links or documents or anything, and I can share them with the group, all of the attendees, so I have their information. So whatever works.
And thank you, Sue. That idea of just mentioning out front, I'm going to use that today at our memory cafe. If you need a break, you need to leave, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
welcome.
this has been really very illuminating and useful, and having, as I say, gone through this with, my parents, it's this kind of stuff is a godsend when you need it. And you have to have a sense of humor to see you through this and support. And it's sometimes just seeing a smiling face while you're, it's kind of a heartbreaking thing. So any kind of positivity you can get into the situation goes a long way. And I think librarians are good at doing that. We try to smile at people when they come in and we try to meet you where you're at instead of, having a lot of expectations of, what you have to do. So,
well, librarians of today do that.
Yes. We're not talking about those old days. No.
The ones that used to yell,
No, we don't do that anymore. So, but this is very, very great. And I appreciate that you're going to be a good advocate for libraries from, with everyone you meet. We need more people like you. And, we love hearing your comments. And, I think I have some comments here in chat. Let's see. Oh, okay. Susan says, didn't Sharon Weissman, who's a consultant in Illinois, used to say at the beginning of meetings that suffering is optional, do what you need to do? And yes, that's very true. She would say that for everyone, anyone who attended something. And I think that's very true. And I think that you reinforcing that, Sue, is a great reminder to all of us. So if there are no other questions, I will let you ladies go and enjoy the rest of your day. I thank you so much for everything you've shared and all of the great work you're doing. Keep it up. We need you doing this. So thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start the other portion of our meeting, which is to tell you what's happening at IHLS. We used to have a word from the state, but the state library has requested, because of their schedules and when we have our board meetings and all of this other stuff, that you subscribe to their newsletter, which is really great and keeps you up to date. And, if there's any really pressing questions, we do have Rita Stevens from from the state library, and, we can ask her to share anything, and bring comments back to the state library. But first, I'm going to start with Leslie Bednar, who is the director of Illinois Heartland Library System, and she's going to tell you what we've been up to. Okay, Leslie.
Good morning, everybody. And in case our wonderful presenters are still present, I just want to tell you as well, having lived through the same situation with my parents, on behalf of all caregivers, the work you do in this area is such a gift. And without getting weepy, it's undeniably helpful to family members. So I'm here to tell you what we're doing at Illinois Heartland Library Systems. This month, we are completing our system area and per capita grant application. The two primary components of that process are our budget and the budget, which comes with a budget narrative, and an operational plan. We have requested member feedback, and part of my job today is to ask you if you would please go to our website, and I forgot to put the link in. I'll put it in when I'm done talking. Take a look at those two documents, and please give us your honest assessment. Your feedback is so important that it's actually in the administrative rules for library systems in Illinois, that operational plans, budgets, things of that nature, I believe long-range planning and that type of work as well is required, that we share that with our members and gather feedback. So that's part of what we're doing. I believe that the rest of our staff will also be telling you what they're doing. And I also want to share that we just yesterday, I believe, announced that the results of an election for new board members. Several are coming back, and we have a couple new friends to meet as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate that. And yes, it is so important to hear from you guys on our operational plan. And, Leslie, I see the link is up, and so please do comment. Now I'm going to ask Cassie to tell us what's happening at Share or with Share or.
Thanks, Anna. Yes, I agree. That was a great program. I actually am going to see if I can, Alanna, if I can borrow one of those kits to take it to, I'm going to visit family over Memorial Day to take it to my aunt, who's a caregiver for my grandmother. So thank you for that. So we have a couple of Share updates. Because we're talking about kits, I just want to go ahead and start. We're relaunching the Kitten Caboodle program that is specific for kits. It is not intended at this time for kits that are going out to patrons. So for example, these kits might not be a good fit. We might expand that once the program is really up and running, but as of right now, it's intended for
Members matter. Everything's fine. Sorry.
It's intended for our programming staff, like our teachers, our librarians. And so let's say that you have a program coming up on a specific topic. Let's say airplanes. And so in June, you're going to do an airplane program. And so you want to get materials for that. well, let's say that somebody has a STEM kit that involves airplanes, and this is just all theoretical. I don't think that we have one, but you want to make sure that you can reserve it for the time that you need it. And so our kits, it's through our Kitten Caboodle program, and it's all on the Share website. The kit is checked out for 6 weeks to your organization. If it's for a book club, for example, and you want to check out materials to a patron, you can do that. Those will all check out for 5 weeks. And so we just ask that you check it out for within 1 week of receiving the kit. And so to make sure everything comes back in time. And so it's a really great program. We are going to be investing some additional funding for that to support our book clubs, and we're really excited about it. And so I hope you all have a chance to take a look. We also have some really exciting news. Our Northwestern Elementary School has just recently went live. We're also anticipating the Melvin Public Library will go live. So welcome to our 2 newest members. We also are offering a new program, and that's through the McNaughton Book Leasing through Brodart. And so it's the McNaughton Book Leasing for Share. And so the intent of this program is to help us reduce our patron hold lists by providing these leased items. So who do we think that this program is great for? It's going to be great for libraries that don't have a ton of staff that that you'd rather reallocate them to doing ordering on specific topics. Like, let's say that you have a large population of readers who really like Amish fiction. Well, you can allocate them to doing the ordering for that fiction and then just take care of the new releases on a standing basis through this Brodart program. It's also intended for larger libraries who might have a significant budget for the new releases, and they're just wanting to help fulfill their holds. And so they're going to get an extra copy of some of the best sellers. So they're going to try out that program. They're going to come fully cataloged and fully processed. And so the Brodart McNaughton leasing program, they don't offer a lot of packages for small libraries. This is something that is has been custom made for Share, and knowing that our libraries tend to be small or rural libraries. And so it is going to be scalable to your location and customizable for either 5 books a month or 10 books a month. And for the most part, again, one of the other considerations is space savings. So when they stop going out to fulfill holds, you don't have to keep them. You can return them to Share. They are a little bit more expensive. They're about $21 per book, but again, they come fully cataloged, fully processed. So you're not going to have staff allocated to doing that barcoding. They're going to come to IHLS. We're going to go ahead and send them out delivery, and they'll start filling holds. So we're really excited about that program. All of the details are on the Share website. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me. Last but not least, we have been experiencing an issue with text messages. So if you have all received some complaints on this, I'd like to personally apologize. I know it's really frustrating. If I were a patron and got a hold notification for a book that came in at 3 a.m., I would not be happy either. What has happened is our Polaris processes hold notifications 4 times a day. Then that pushes those text messages out to the carriers. We have no control over when the carriers release those text messages. And so Troy Brown has explained it. It's complicated on the type of text message they're sending and the verification, but please be assured we are researching to come up with a solution to that. And again, my apologies. I know that that's super frustrating for your patrons. It's super frustrating for your frontline staff. And so again, please bear with us. We are trying to find a solution, whether that's either a solution through Polaris or a third-party vendor. So thank you all for your time and consideration. I appreciate it.
Anna, you muted?
Yeah, took me a while to find the unmute key. Thank you, Cassandra. That was a lot of information, but it was really useful. Now we will go to communications. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Danielle or Shan. Yeah, there's Danielle. Okay.
Hello, everyone. So we do not have really any updates from communication. However, I did want to plug our final HR source session that is coming up. That is going to be Wednesday, June 22nd. And it is on legal issues for supervisors. So if you are a supervisor, it could be really beneficial for you to attend this session. And I'm going to put the link in the chat for more information and then to get registered for that program. Other than that, we really don't have any big updates for you today.
I would also like to put in a plug that maybe you encourage your board president or a board member to attend that HR session too, because I've seen some very interesting practices with boards managing directors, and I think maybe they could benefit from this HR program about management and employment law. Just a suggestion. Maybe you could attend with your board member, or just tell them about it, because I think they would find it useful as well. Now delivery, Susan, I know you're out there.
Great. There's just a couple things. We recently started dogs delivery on the go service. Well, it was always there, but we really revamped it. We got orange bags. We got the drivers on board with this, and holy cow, if I can say that, too late. You libraries have really used this. Initially, the numbers that we were starting at for all 3 hubs together was that we did about 1,000 dogs a month, 1,000, which was good because that's 1,000 patrons who got it that same day that somebody pulled it. We are now in each hub over double that. So the idea of this has exploded, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled when something just really goes well. Are there issues? Heck yeah, we're working on getting more bags. We were not anticipating perhaps the response, but it's great. So we also are looking at a little bit more of a permanent bag, but not as permanent as like if you had those purple ILDS bags, just something that's just recognizable, because this is not going back in through delivery. The driver is putting them into a tub, so he knows when he gets to your library, he's just putting it on top. It will have a pocket instead of having to write. It's 1 library per bag. So, but you can probably fit 4 to 5 items is what we kind of found. So we've worked out a lot of the kinks. We've modified processes, and we're anticipating keeping this as a great thing for your patrons to get these items so quickly. Yes, it does save us a bit too. In the reality is that we're not taking those items back to our hubs to be sorted out to then be brought back the next day. So there's a little bit of savings, but it's kind of negated because now I've got the driver time, doing this little extra piece, but it's not huge. It's about the service. That's what it's about. That's why we are here in the system, is to respond to our member libraries, all of you. How can we make your life better for you and your patrons? That's it. That's our goal. So dogs, yay. I'm going to go super quick into just a wee bit because there's been quite a bit of talk about this. We are currently in Illinois Heartland Library System. We have an RFI. An RFI out there, which is request for information. This is a piece that you do when you don't have all the knowledge, you don't have all the information, you can't find this information because it's fairly, based on individualization of units. What an AMH is, automatic material handler, also called an automatic sorting machine. What this would do, and part of the reason that we're even looking at this is that we have share here. And in delivery, to be honest, I don't care if you use carrier pigeon. Honestly, I don't. I'm going to deliver whatever I get. However, there's a way that we can utilize the power of share, the power of everybody being together. And that would be to look at this automatic material handler to see if potentially that might be something that we write an RFP for. At this point, we don't know because we haven't gotten the information yet. Monday, the information will come in from various vendors. We are going to take a month off, basically, and in July, we're going to regroup to start looking at that. You guys have any ideas, concerns, anything like that, send it to me, Susan Palmer, and I'm keeping a file of all the concerns, and I will try to answer things that I can, but without information, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the correct answer. Yes, conceptually, we will be looking at, is there a cost back to our member libraries? That's huge. Probably about half of you already have your barcodes on the outside of the items that you're sending through delivery. So what this would do is that you wouldn't do a label on the outside of the item any longer. So you save that time plus the receipt paper costs. We anticipated, or we looked at like about 3 inches for each label, and it came out to over 156 miles of receipt paper we would save throughout all 3 hubs, okay? And that would be like driving from Edwardsville to Champaign. So there's cost savings in this also. For the ones that do not have their barcodes on the outside, because there hasn't really been a standard for all of Illinois where to put the barcodes. So in saying that, we're quite aware, and we started collecting potential Plan Bs. I love Plan Bs. I like to have them ready, to be honest. So we started asking some questions. There's barcode duplicators out there. And I'm not saying this as a cost for the library. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know, right? So as this project moves forward, and if we determine that it makes sense to have this piece of technology there, then we will be having like an advisory group of libraries and board member to look at this, to make sure, since I don't work in a library, you have that knowledge. That's your expertise. So that's yet to come. And I've probably just now thrown a lot of cans of worms and opening them and stuff like that. My only other thing to say is that it's rare in life when moments like this appear. And when I say a moment like this appear, I mean where you have quite a few people on board with implementing new technology that will take us further. If you think back, library systems have only been around since the 60s, and they were initially just public libraries. About 1996, I think it is, we became multi-type. And when some of us who have been here a while, when you start thinking back to how the role of the system, at one point we were providing collections. At one point we were doing your interlibrary loans. And now we've got the patrons sitting at home. A big jump in technology, that it's jumped. And when you look at an automatic material handler, there's going to be accuracy that comes into this. There's going to be things because of the Share Polaris software that you will be able to scan the outside of a tub and it'll automatically check in or return things. There's a lot of benefits for this. And for us at Illinois Heartland Library System, we'll have a little bit less staff. So that's a savings for us that we can direct that money that's been budgeted over towards member services. But it will also allow us a quicker turnaround after a holiday or a closing or a quarantine. I don't even want to say the Q word, but you never know. And so saying that, you know, it's hard when a new technology comes out because it's innovative. However, this particular technology has been around in many, many, many different, I'm thinking of the word companies, but that's not really, but different, like Amazon uses it, or the airport uses it, a hospital uses it, you know, anywhere where you're doing delivery and you're wanting to distribute things out. So it's not just libraries. And so we're not on the bleeding edge. And a lot of these vendors that will be submitting information, they've dealt with Polaris. Again, a plus, not to be on the bleeding edge. But you guys are lending and borrowing over 3 million items that currently are hand sorted. And this would also hopefully, well, not hopefully, this would also reduce errors in that when it scans the code, it just goes into, I won't confuse it. It says CUSD, and I've given it to the public library, which essentially then makes that item get to your patrons quicker. Okay, that's it. I'll stop. Surprised nobody stopped me yet. So, if you have any questions, honestly, send them to me, concerns. I'm keeping a file so that at the time that we get to that part in the conversation, I already have some fodder, and so then I can ask more directed, pointed questions that matters. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. I can speak to your point about this not being bleeding edge technology. I worked in 2 different libraries that had sorting machines, and we use them every day. And one of them even went through 2 different sorting companies. So I mean, it's been around. It's gotten better and better and better. And I think it's not impractical for our application because we do handle so much material through circulation and delivery. So I think it's, well worth considering and looking at. And as you say, it's a good time to do it. And when you make changes, it causes changes down the road too, or for everyone. And, I think, you're willing to listen to people's concerns, and, people know how to find you, Susan, and I'm sure, and I hope they will share, whatever concerns they have or questions with you. And because, you've given a lot of thought to this, and you can definitely have those answers or help find them for them. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you thinking about, how to better serve the members. And I'm sure they appreciate that too. So now it's the membership portion of our program. And it's going to be me talking about this since Ellen is not here. And I will also ask Leah if she has anything she'd like to add. Basically, again, I would like to encourage people to add their comments to our operations plan. You can find that on our website, and a link has been shared in the chat here. And also to sign up for our next HR Source program. And I do have our June program lined up for Members Matters. It'll be Kathy Parker talking about all things building, basically building maintenance, when you have infestations of various critters, how to troubleshoot, how to plan for replacement, the whole gamut. I know that Kathy has done similar programs at DU. And so she'll be doing this for us, and it's very relevant because under the standards, one of the things is like, building maintenance, and, the information will be useful for helping meet that standard too. Or when you fill out the application or, the grant application thing for IPLA or the annual report, whatever, it has that on there, and you can say, yes, we covered it and we did it through this way. So I think that's about the major things. I'm sure there'll be something else that I'm forgetting, but Leah, do you have anything you would like to say or update us on?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say hi to everybody. I don't always have a lot to add because I'm usually dealing with schools, but the big thing that I'm working on right now is updating our webpage for the intellectual freedom and challenge resources, and that will be coming very soon. So I'm excited about that. So check out our website in a bit and you will see the new page.
thank you for your work on that, Leah. It's very timely, and yes, we see more and more of those popping up everywhere, and it's, been in a lot of schools, but public libraries are also facing that. And I'm sure there'll be more challenges as we go along. So yes, thank you for that. It'll be a good resource for us to all use and refer to. I was going to say something else. I'm sure it wasn't all that important, but now if anyone in our audience would like to give us an update on anything they're doing, I'll give you a few minutes to reply, and you can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. I know that some of our libraries in the Metro East area, I know Caseyville, and I know the Collinsville Library, is it 6 Mile? No, yes. Anyway, they are planning Pride events for June, and trying to think what else. A lot of you are starting your summer reading programs. Directors University starts in June. It's the first week of June. I know some of you have been accepted to attend this year, and it will be in person in Springfield. So that's about all I can think of. And I'm not seeing anyone popping in with anything else. So I am going to thank each and every one of you for attending today. And this will be recorded. Feel free to share it with anyone you think who can find it useful. And have a great afternoon. You have 18 minutes of your day that you didn't think you were going to have. So thank you so much. We'll see you next month. Bye.